Good everyone. Thank you for tuning in today for our one and only Veeam 100 show. It's brought to you by our Veeam community, and I want to say a big thank you to our best video production team in town as well. I am Madalina Cristil, in charge of Veeam community strategy and operation, and I am joined today by my colleague and my co-host Karinne. Thank you, Karinne, for being with me today. And of course, we have two amazing guests. We have Stephen Yu, he's a community member, and Neil Fariss, one of the stars. He's going to tell us more in a minute of the US. So, welcome all. And why don't we just start with some introductions? And because this is the first time when Neil is part of this show, I'm going to ask him to tell us a few words about himself.
My name is Neil Fariss. I am the Director of Network Infrastructure at Angels Baseball. Been there for over 28 years. It's been a great journey and a really interesting and very fun job to have over the years.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being with us today, Neil. Stephen?
Sure. Thanks, Madalina. My name is Stephen New, Senior Director of Business Continuity, Disaster Recovery at Dataprise. I am also a Veeam Vanguard. Super excited to be part of that program. So glad to be here.
Thank you very much for being with us. And Karinne, would you like to just say a few words about yourself? I'm sure many people know you already from all the shows you are part of, but for the ones that are watching us for the first time.
Thanks, Maddie. Yeah, so if you've not seen me before, my name is Karinne Bessette. I'm part of Veeam Software on the strategy team. I'm also Microsoft MVP, and I have to say I love community, and I'm always happy to be back on the show.
And thank you again. And yeah, you have all the good reasons to stay with us until the end because Stephen and Neil are bringing us a real customer story today from deploying Veeam and enabling Veeam Vault all the way to validating disaster recovery through a successful real world testing. So what can be better than that on a Thursday? Well, for you, it's morning. For me, it's evening. But I think, you should stay with us until the end. So, if you are watching us, I have also a challenge for you today. I would like you to tell us in the chat what's your favorite Veeam solution, or just tell us a feature of one of the Veeam solution that you like. We would really like you to engage with us today. And also, don't be shy. Just ask questions throughout the show. I'm sure this is going to bring some good perspectives to all of us. So, Karinne, what do you think? Should we go for the story then? Just start with talking about the great, successful customer story we prepared for today.
So I think we're starting off with you, Neil. If you want to give us a little bit of background, who you work for, and I'm sure many people already know the baseball team, but you got some great facts here.
So, having been with the team for quite some time, I started in 1998, and we had a very good team at that point in time. It was a little frustrating, but 2002 came, and it was pretty magical. You almost have to be through it and do it to understand what it's like. It was pretty incredible. And then we had a pretty good year, a pretty good run of about 10 more years of really having a really good team. Been a little struggle since then, but we hope we're turning the corner there. We have actually, when I started at the Angels, we had 3 servers, and that has expanded quite a bit. We've got, several racks of servers and storage and cloud storage and disaster recovery that Dataprise and Veeam have been really instrumental in owning in and doing it very, very well. Some stops and starts along the way, but it's been a really good journey along the way.
Awesome. So every team out there seems to have like this special chant. I'm from Ohio and we have the OSU team. If I yell OH, there's going to be someone in the room that yells IO. What is your guys' chant that you have for your team? Like, what do you do?
We don't have anything like that. I think pro sports might be a little bit different, but maybe it's just that we're in LA, Orange County, Anaheim, that it's not really a thing. And I think that's more of a college thing, to be honest.
Okay, okay. Well, maybe we're gonna have to figure out how to pick that up in the major leagues. It's great marketing. Now,
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to understand a little better because you've had to have had sort of like a problem or a need going into the situation to then come up with a solution. Can you give us some background of what type of architecture and problem that you're trying to solve for?
Are you talking about specifically with Veeam?
Yes.
So everybody has a need for backup. And the problem that we were trying to solve was our disaster recovery solution was something we've been trying to get a handle on over the years. And it was just a struggle. We were doing, what was it, VMware replication for a short period of time, but that was problematic and clunky and just didn't work very well. And the offsite part of that solution just wasn't great. So we were shopping around and looking for a full end-to-end backup and disaster recovery solution. We engaged with a couple of different vendors, and all of a sudden my storage vendor said, well, why don't you guys look at Veeam? So I called Veeam and I said, hey, this is what we're looking for. And he said, ah, and this was our Southern California rep. I can't remember his name. He said, I have someone you should talk to. And he put me in touch with Dataprise. And at the time, it was a different company, but it's now been integrated fully into Dataprise. Started the conversation with them, and I was really far down the road with another vendor. And that, when I started talking to Dataprise and about the whole Veeam solution, the simplicity of it was very attractive, and the price point that they were coming in at was significantly less than the other vendors were coming in at from the full end-to-end solution. So that's kind of the journey. And then Stephen was very, very integral in implementing the entire solution, and it was a great experience. I mean, that just in a nutshell is a great experience. We can talk in more detail about it, but I'll take up the whole time.
Yeah, I would say there is something to be said about doing something yourself on-prem and your own configurations, but really partners drive home a better solution. So, Stephen, do you want to give us a little bit of insights on why should someone choose a partner like the services that you guys offer over trying to do a build your own self?
So one of the reasons why customers should choose a partner or a Veeam Platinum partner is because we have the expertise. We have Veeam certified architects, Veeam certified engineers on staff. Me, myself, I'm a Veeam Vanguard. I'm also a technical ambassador for Veeam certified service providers. So we have the expertise to come in and implement the solution right and make sure that you follow Veeam's best practices, because at the end of the day, recoverability is what matters. And you don't want to go into a disaster not only not being able to recover your data, but you got to test your data to make sure you can recover your data. So that's what a provider helps you do. They help you come in, implement it to best practice. We help you test the data. We do a true live DR situation where you test outside of your networks. We always suggest customers going, go to Starbucks and test. Connect to our VPN instead of your VPN and do your everyday activities. If you can do that, then we would say the test is successful. So that's why customers should choose a partner to verify everything's up and running so that you can worry about focusing on your business instead of worrying about your disaster recovery plan, because that's what Dataprise does best.
I don't think I could have pitched that better. I've been trying to figure out the best way for years, like, what is the true value add here? Because it's obviously valuable. So let's dive into the specific customer and solution case now. So I'll leave it open to the both of you, but I'm pretty sure, Stephen, you got this to dive into some of the technicalities of why this was unique and how you guys solved the problems.
So basically, Neil came to us roughly about 10 years now, and said, I have a really unique situation. We have to get off this VMware replication product. And keep in mind, this was the 1st of December. And he said, yeah, so the bad news is we have to get off of it by the 1st of the year. So we had to basically implement the solution and get it up and running before his, I believe the contract renewed again at the 1st of the year. So we went in head first and we got the solution implemented. We did run into, some issues. We were able to resolve those as we ran into them, but we got it up running and everything functioning. Actually, I think correct me if I'm wrong, Neil, but we actually beat the deadline. I think we got it done before Christmas, and everybody was able to go enjoy their holiday and know that the Angels baseball team was protected.
That is correct.
So
nothing like a good time crunch.
Yeah, it was. It was. It was very robust implementation, but we got it taken care of. So we were glad to get that taken care of for him.
So we've really hit on why this had to happen and the peace of mind. Let's sort of kind of dive into the disaster recovery and the testing we're doing and kind of like what we call the Grand Slam activity. And I do want to pitch, I did make little baseballs for this one and I was very proud of it. So if anyone wants to comment on the baseballs, I would appreciate that.
Excellent job, Karinne.
Why don't you take us through this 1, 2, 3 stepping process to get the disaster recovery testing?
Sure. So what we did specifically for Neil is we always do a real life DR scenario to make sure that all customers can function in a true DR event. So once a year, we do a full hands-on test. What this entails is we bring up all servers into instant recovery. And then what we do is we actually have a script on the back end that goes through and creates the networking and the VPN. So as soon as customers call in with a DR event, this is all automated from the time they call in until the time the servers are brought up online. So after we bring the servers up, we have the customers go in and test to make sure that they can access the servers and then all the networking is correct and just verify everything can communicate. And at that point, we go ahead and we start the migration to production. So what is unique about Neil's environment is he actually has a firewall that's in the Dataprise Colo. That way, if the experience that he has with his customers, and whenever I say customers, we always internal staff at the IT department is always customers. So, Neil would have, finance calling in, accounts payable, baseball operations. Those are all his customers. So we like to have it a seamless experience. So we basically turn on we open the port and we allow the traffic to flow, and we put him in his own segmented network to that firewall, which is essentially kind of like a site-to-site VPN. But the users connect to his DR DNS, like dr.angels.com, and they would connect that way. So everything is also pre-staged, so there's no software installation. And we just like to create a seamless experience to make sure, each department can access the site and work in the event of a disaster.
So I want to make sure that we're getting fair sides of this conversation. We're talking to the partner right now that says there's this nice shiny tool, but what does this really look like in practice, Neil? Did it save you time? Was it easy? Give us some insights from your perspective on this end.
Everything Steven said is true, and I was just thinking about this. One of the more impressive pieces about it is we have physical domain controllers, and those are the very first thing that we bring up when we do a DR test. And those things are up within minutes. We kind of put a 15-minute time frame around it, and we get those booted up first, and then the whole rest of the environment boots up after that. And because those are physical servers, I was very concerned about it. And Steven can attest that I was hounding him about how this was going to work, because Veeam is historically, in my mind, been a virtual, backing up only the virtual environment, backing up the physical environment, including all of the AD and the domain controllers, was extremely, it just works extremely well, put it that way. And getting all of those pieces booted up within generally 15 to 30 minutes, we get our entire environment set up and for disaster tests. And it's been, what, 2 years now, Stephen, where
Yep.
maybe a little bit longer, where they came to us and said, we're going to now allow you to put your own firewall in here. And that's a game changer, because rather than having to re-implement VPN client on all of our customers, all of our users' computers, just use the one we have, just change the gateway to point to the new one. It's a total game changer. And then I can, because that thing is always online, I can make changes to policies or what's talking to what across the different network segments. Can do that offline at any point in time, because it's my firewall and it's up and running 24/7. So everything Steven said was correct. It's just been a great experience.
Awesome. So we are heading towards the latter half of our presentation today. I just want to put a small plug out there. If you do have any questions, if you send those into the chat, they'll funnel them to us, and we'll try to get those answered before the end of the chat here. I do actually have a question myself, just out of pure curiosity. Why did you have to move away from VMware replication? Was it limitation license, platform with the Broadcom thing? What was the driving factor here?
Driving factor was that it was not a great solution, to be perfectly honest. It was clunky, fit with problems, constantly having to fix things. We didn't have a full offsite solution, which was the biggest driving force, was having an offsite disaster recovery, not just backups and replications of computers at certain point in time, and keeping those up to date. But it's just very problematic, and the real, like I said, the real driving force was offsite disaster recovery. And also that solution had become very expensive. It had been implemented by a team that was kind of mostly gone. And so the support was not great. And it was just, we had to get off of it.
I
don't even know
think
if
the
that
story that
VMware
you're sharing
replication still exists.
The story that you're sharing is definitely probably something almost everyone out there has experienced. Either someone set it up and then they left and now no one knows how to do it. Don't shut that machine off in the corner because we don't know how to bring it back online properly. And it sounds like this has been a complete transformation and a real success story to this entire webinar. But what is next? What are you guys planning on expanding? What are your next projects?
Nothing related to that list, because it just friggin' works. I mean, it's we've had, what do you call it, hurdles, stumbles along the way. It's technology, stuff goes wrong, but our environment has been really stable for, what would you say, Stephen, like almost the last 3 years. We've had very, very few issues. And most of those have been self-inflicted, where I would, add a VM that all of a sudden I'm like, oh shoot, that had a really big drive and I filled up my backup server, and now I got to fix that.
So I'll give you one last plug here, Stephen. It doesn't sound like there's anything really on the docket yet for this contract, but is there something exciting that you guys are working on that you want to share that maybe this will kind of be something they're interested in or someone in the audience might be interested in from your partnership?
Yeah, so as you know, we're all in on Veeam. So what we currently are working on is we're working on fully immutable storage for Veeam Vault. Next on the list is we are implementing Veeam Data Cloud across our environment, and we are going to start protecting, Veeam using Veeam Data Cloud to protect Azure, Salesforce, Intra ID. So as it comes out, we're going to be the first to implement it. We're going head first because, as you know, I'm a big advocate for Veeam and love everything Veeam. So that's what we're going for.
Thank
I
you.
would say
So,
something, little
yeah, go
input.
ahead.
The Veeam Data Vault, Stephen he said, hey, I want to implement this for you. And I said, oh, okay. And I didn't hear from him for a few days, maybe a week or whatever. I said, Stephen, when are we doing this? And he said, oh, I already did it. How seamless it was.
Yeah, completely seamless and provides all of our customers with immutability because, as we know today, ransomware is on the rise. The first thing they hit your backup. So with immutable storage, it's a win-win situation for everybody.
That's what I really love about this community because I'm a technical truth at heart kind of person. And the stories that you guys are telling are almost like someone's paying you from a product marketing perspective, but that's not even close to being the case here, which makes me so excited to be a part of this. I really appreciate both of you and your insights. I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Maddie here to get her last bits out and close this up.
No, this was a really great, valuable story in here. I totally agree with what you just said, Karinne. And yeah, thank you guys for sharing it with our community. I'm sure everyone appreciates that. I know I love a good customer story. But yeah, I would like also, for our audience to let us know in the comments if they appreciate it as well, if, they learned something today. So that's great. But Neil, I do have one question for you. I know you said that it works, and I know you kind of mentioned a few things that you like about the Veeam solution, but I would like to still ask you, what would be top 3 reasons why anyone would decide to use Veeam? And again, it's not marketing. Just, from a customer perspective, it would be great to hear it.
The To me, after using it for even a short period of time, the usability and the fact that I could do a lot of different stuff very quickly on my own uh, was a huge thing. The cost, because one thing you have to remember for me, because I pay Dataprise for the whole thing, I don't even know what Veeam costs. They handle all of that stuff. But the entire solution for me, because we have a small IT department and being able to hand off all of that stuff to them, the cost is well worth it. And to me, significantly less expensive than other solutions. And then the support that we get from Dataprise and also from him, from the back end, from Veeam, whatever necessary, is not very often, has been very, very stellar, I would say. So those are kind of the top 3 things. I could say more, but those would
Yeah,
be the
thank you
top
for
3
that.
things.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And I mean, I'm sure it can help a lot of the people that, are thinking, should I use Veeam? Should I use a different solution? So this could be key points. So thank you for that. Yeah, Stephen, did you think you're gonna escape my questions? You are not. I'm gonna ask you something as well, but this is related to the community because this is a community show. So um, tell me, please, what's the best part of being part of the Veeam 100 group?
So there's not really one best part. I mean, I can talk about this all day. I mean, it's the people, it's the product knowledge. It's going every single year to the Veeam 100 Summit, networking with all the experts in the, at Veeam, all the MVPs, the legends, the vanguards. The community team at Veeam is amazing, Maddie and Safia, Nicole. I mean, all of y'all are just awesome. Can't forget the man in charge, Rick Vanover himself. So, like I said, I could talk about this all day long, but it's truly the people, the networking. It's just an awesome community.
Thank you, Stephen. We appreciate that. For a moment, I thought he's going to say the swag. If it was Jeff in here, he would have said the swag. I'm just joking. I'm sure that's a good part of it as well. But yeah, I totally agree with what you just said. And thank you again for the great conversation. Thank you again, Neil, for accepting our invite, and Stephen, for organizing this for us. Big thanks to our audience as well today. And please don't forget, you can find us at community.veeam.com. And we will see you next month with another great customer story. Stay awesome.